Hey, something quite interesting has just occurred. Toyota has launched the new Yaris into the Australian market, but the car isn't the interesting thing. The interesting thing is the price tag. Because priced at $22,130 before on-roads, the base model Yaris is now within about $1,000 of the starting price of a Corolla. Now that seems a little bit mad considering that the Yaris belongs in a segment where conventional wisdom says that the prices should start well below $20,000, not above it. But is there some logic behind this new pricing structure? Does it make sense on any level? Or are Toyota being greedy, or are they committing commercial suicide by making a car that's supposed to be their most accessible so expensive? Turns out there is some sound logic behind this. So let's dive in. Here's a direct quote from the head of Toyota Australia's sales and marketing, Sean Hanley. "There is a cost involved in bringing this level of technology and safety to market. This level of pricing and specification is what it takes to bring a car to market in 2020. Now, what's he mean there? Well, when he's talking about technology, he's really talking about safety equipment and powertrain. And also when he says, this is what it takes to bring a car to market, he really means this is what it takes to bring a car to market and have it be profitable. You do at least get a fair bit of kit for your money. Standard safety equipment includes autonomous emergency braking, lane keep assist, and nifty twin center airbags that keep the front occupants' heads from smashing together in a crash. The standard engine is a new generation 1.5 litre 3-cylinder motor with 88 kilowatts, but there's also the option of a hybrid now, which starts at $29,020. Now that is definitely a lot of money for such a small car. There are 3 grades in the Yaris range, with the Ascent Sport at the bottom, the ZR at the top, and the SX in the middle. They all get 7-inch touchscreens with smartphone mirroring at a minimum, with built-in sat-nav as standard on the SX and ZR. The ZR also gets some cool stuff like a head-up display and blind spot monitoring, but considering the ZR starts at $30,000, you'd hope it had some good gear on it. Okay, so offering more airbags and a hybrid option adds cost to a car. That makes sense. But that doesn't tell the full story. After all, Volkswagen sells the Polo GTI, a proper hot hatch with outstanding build quality and plenty of equipment of its own, for just $700 more than the $32,100 Yaris ZR Hybrid. The difference comes from the country of origin. The Polo is made in South Africa while the Yaris is built in Japan. Compare the historical exchange rates between the Australian dollar and the South African rand and Japanese yen respectively, and you'll soon see why a hot hatch from a German brand costs nearly the same as a similarly sized Japanese Econobox. But the bigger systemic issue is this. There is so little profit margin in the light car segment that it's almost not worth a car company's time and effort competing in it. Unless, of course, they can sell squillions of cars to get that economy of scale, or they jack the price up. It's a long-held belief that it costs roughly the same amount of money to develop and produce a small car as it does to make a large car, and the reality is not all that far off. Much of the cost of developing a car comes from research, development, prototyping, validation, crash testing, certification, and marketing, while production line costs largely boil down to how many man-hours it takes to bolt the thing together, which, generally speaking, doesn't vary too wildly from model to model unless you're talking about something specialized like a sports car, luxury car, or 4-wheel drive. So if it doesn't cost all that much more to make a large sedan than it does to make a light hatchback, but you can sell the sedan for much more than that hatchback, then guess which car is going to generate more profit? Now, earlier in this video I compared the cost of the base model Yaris to that of the base model Corolla, but also consider this: the base model Camry is actually cheaper than some Yaris variants. What? The Toyota Camry, which is also built in Japan, sells in Australia with a starting price of $28,990. That's cheaper than the top grade Yaris, but here's the thing, the Camry is probably just as profitable for the company as the Yaris is at that price point. That's just how expensive a light car needs to be today to have a viable business case, especially if it's being sourced from a high-cost country like Japan. Toyota's rival Honda has also been asking itself whether it's worth staying in the small car game in Australia, with the business case for the Japan-made new generation Jazz being too floppy if pricing was to stay the same as the old model, which starts just under $16,000. With Toyota making the bold move to launch its new Yaris into a much higher price bracket, Honda may feel a little less uneasy about doing the same with its next generation Jazz. We'll have to wait and see if Honda Australia follows in Toyota's footsteps on that one. The Mazda 2 is now an expensive car as well, with the entire range now pushed above the $20,000 mark. Meanwhile, Ford has decided that the only variant of the new Fiesta family it'll bother selling in Australia is the German-built Fiesta ST. At $31,990, the Fiesta ST's business case does stack up. However, the company's decided that making slim margins on lesser Fiesta variants simply isn't worth its time. Of course, you could sell a car with barely any features, but the thing is, people aren't going to buy it, at least not in Australia. People demand a certain baseline level of features, especially when it comes to safety, and all of that stuff adds cost to a car. If you're a car company and you're selling a car with all that good gear in it for less than $20,000, it's highly unlikely that you'll be making a profit on it, because the cost of buying that car from the factory is going to be way too close to the transaction price of selling it to a customer. When it comes to the Yaris, I don't think Toyota's being greedy. I think they're just doing what they need to do in order to offer a vehicle at a profitable price. Long story short, here's what I think is going to happen. Car companies are either going to delete light cars from their lineups as they realize that there's just not enough money in it, or they're going to increase the pricing of those cars so that they can continue to offer them. I hope this video has been informative. If so, please do give it a like, and also consider subscribing so you don't miss any of my future content. Thanks for watching everyone, see you next time.